So I guess we're down to the people that actually really made this race happen, which would be the mushers. It doesn't matter how hard we work and how good a trail or how many sandwiches we make or how many nights sleep we lose because this is trying to put this together if the mushers don't show up. So these guys, for even the uninitiated, this is a huge task. So most people, I've had the most astounding questions in the last 6 months, but the concept of actually wanting to take a dog sled team across 200 miles of trail is probably the most sort of astounding piece of information that most people have a hard time wrapping their head around. And I have never done the Iditarod or run very far in a dog sled, but I've been around a lot of dog sled races, and I can tell you the people that ran this trail went way, way, way beyond anything that could ever be expected of anybody. And not only that, they took the chance on showing up here. This is the first year that we run this race, and they said, yeah, you betcha, we'll come out and be the guinea pigs. And they did an amazing job. They kept going. They kept going in spite of the fact that the weather was not good and the trail was not perfect. And hey, some of the distances just kept getting longer. And then somebody decided that we should have a bicycle race instead of a dog sled race up the hill out of Greenwood. And they just kept going. And they said, oh, well, let's figure this out. We'll get through it. We want to get to the finish line. And they did. And these guys, there's some people that say you can be stubborn as a mule. I think these guys coined a new term, and that's stubborn as a musher. You can't beat it, guys. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for believing in the fact that we could do this. So the first musher, we'll start at the bottom, and so Jerry Walker, if you would please come up here. So as much as Jerry didn't get all the way to the finish line, he still deserves the medal for showing up and trying.
Well, usually if a guy scratches in a dog race, he don't get much mention, so this is a bit of a surprise. And I like to tell stories, and this one is unrelated to scratching. In this race, actually when I scratched, I was 1 minute ahead. So I hope this is the last time in my life I scratch when I'm leading the race. But I got lost up there in the middle of the night one night. Well, lost the trail. It was kind of snowed under. And some fishermen had been up there and made a little tour of the lake. And that was the best trail, so we followed that down, did a complete turn of the lake. It made a little circle and brought me right back to where I started. So I scratched my head a bit and I thought, geez, that's not going anywhere. So I headed back to where I'd left Steve. He was camped on the trail. And I only get up the trail a little bit, and geez, I meet Stefan. He's coming along. And I know most of you people don't know Stefan. He's from Belgium. He's got a big booming voice, and especially if he's a little cheesed off. And the two teams, we passed, and we stopped with the sleds beside each other going opposite directions. And he said, "What the hell, where you come from? You take a shortcut?" So I had a little trouble convincing him that I'd been to the end of the trail and was just on my way back. Anyway, I had a great time here. I think he got super country to run a race. And I've never seen a more enthused bunch of volunteers and stuff. And I hope you guys have as much fun as we did, and I'll be back.
So the fourth place went to Richard Todd, who was musher number 1 when he started out of the chute. So Richard, could you please come up here? And Richard actually came over here from England to do this.
Way to go! Very cool, so nice. Congratulations. Thank you so much. You want to talk? He doesn't want to
to participate in this race. And when I got her entry, for those of you who knows a little bit about mushing, Karen's won a real lot of miles on the runners. So I was very floored that she wanted to come to my dinky little race. So, thanks, Karen.
You know, I spent a lot of time this morning running these trails thinking, I spent a lot of time racing in Alaska in places like this, and this is where I live, and I didn't know that this area was down here, and it's gorgeous. It's just a really nice opportunity to see a different bit of Canada, so it was a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody. I agree with Jerry that the trails here are fabulous, and you guys have the resources to put on a really top-class race. The community support has been wonderful. Everybody has been so helpful and listens well. And to the woman who I nearly ran over at the start line, who had the best reflex time I've ever seen of somebody, because she was about to get run over by my sled and I yelled, "Roll!" And she did. Perfect. I was very impressed. No, I should have for that roll over. That would have been a good idea. So thanks very much. I want to thank Richard for doing such a great job with my second team, with my puppies, and bringing them in looking so good. And I want to thank Barry, who flew over all the way from England or Scotland. What was that?
England.
Scotland. Just checking.
Australia.
To handle for us this weekend. And we so much appreciate his help. And we also now know the history of everybody that lives in this community. Thank you to everybody for a great race, and we will be back too.
Oh.
In second place, we have Stéphane de Marie, and he came to us from Saskatchewan. Good morning, Stéphane.
When I entered, actually, it seems like I was the first one that entered. I thought, well, this is going to be a nice test for our dogs. I thought rail trail, it's going to be, uphill and all that stuff. But I for sure would have never expected to work my butt off so hard to get uphill, and even coming down was a lot more fun. I really enjoyed it. My team really surprised me. Like, people are telling me about what my team looked like, and 10 out of the 12 were 2-year-olds that barely had miles on last year, and we're just starting to build up our kennel again. And they really surprised me how they came into the race. And so I was kind of holding everyone back and see what the end of the race was going to do. And I was really pleased to be able to beat Steve there a couple of times. I had to put the snow hook in a couple of times too, so he could catch up again. Yeah, a couple of pieces of meat on the trail always helps to figure out. I really enjoyed it, like everyone said, this was a great bunch of people out here. I ran the Canadian Challenge in Saskatchewan there probably about 8 or 9 times, and I think this is a lot better crew. I got a lot more satisfaction out of this race than I ever had out of the challenge. And I hope, with our support, and especially everyone's support out here, we can pull off a really top race in Canada. And I would make the change on the name. I would maybe say RailTrail200 Extreme.
And the winner for the 12 Dog 200 mile race is Steve Mullen. Please come up, Steve. And I think Steve deserves an extra cheer because he's from Clearwater, BC, so he's local as you can get.
Turn it the round. There you go.
Well, we were kind of a last-minute decision to run this race. We had signed up last year wanting to do this race, and it was canceled due to weather. We live north of here in Clearwater, so the terrain is kind of similar to here, but we don't run quite as long as here. But it was a good test for the dogs. This is their second year racing my team. We were doing tours before this, so they're kind of friendly tour dogs that have race background, and we're just testing them out to see if they really like doing this. And they seemed to do all right. It was a tough trail in places, but it wasn't not doable. Right? What I found, along with Stefan, is there was a lot going on here with volunteers and small little communities being tied together and working together as a team, which is important to pull off an event like this. The more the merrier. What I enjoyed was, at my age, I've been doing this since I was 12, is seeing that I can still, step by step, follow somebody a little bit younger than me up mountains. And as far as the trail snacks go, it wasn't the flavor that I used, so it worked out. But no, it was a good time. I'm a little stiff and sore, but that's just due to my training regime, which my wife says is I run dogs and then come home and drink beer. So it must be working. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. But no, I'd like to come back, and I've volunteered too with some input. I've been around quite a few races and could help out a little bit. I might come back here in the summer with my family and tow my camper down and spend the weekend and run around and look at trail options and just help out a little bit. So I'm local. Just getting a few hours.
Yeah, we quickly make one. So the one and only 100-mile racer that we had is Brandy Mullen. Please come on up, Brandy. And what I would like to say about Brandy is that she did an absolutely astounding feat getting to where she got against all the odds with her dogs. And for those of you that were on the trail, she actually beat a couple of those 12 dog teams into at least 2 of the checkpoints. So, and she had fewer dogs. She knew what she was doing out there. So, huge hand to Brandy. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks again for coming out. Oh, Grace wants to say something. Sorry, and I did tell her I would let her do that.
It's okay, she's tired. My dogs aren't going to be sick tonight. Right? Yeah. Phew. I have been very, very proud to be a sponsor of this race. And right from day one, when Ruth talked about it, I knew how passionate she was about this race. And I think what's happened in this community and throughout the boundary is that we've seen something completely different than we've ever seen before here. That's really important for everybody. But second to all of the mushers and second to none is Ruth's passion about this whole thing. And it's because of Ruth that this happened. It's because of Ruth that some of us got on board. And it's because that Ruth totally believed in it that you guys are all here tonight and that you're talking the talk that you're talking. So thank you to Ruth. And as a politician, I can go on and I will not. So there you go. Thank you for letting me be part of this race. And I'll see to it that there's some more money for the next one.
Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody. We have a little something for a very special person. It is from the board of directors. I know we're all sleep deprived, but I think the person who is the most sleep deprived is going to have this tonight.
You have no idea how little these mushers slept. You can't put it down.
No, I can't.
No, you have to hold it.
Okay, Ruth, on behalf of the board of directors, we would like to present you with this plaque. Okay.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks. You're welcome. So apart from, thank you very much, Stu, for putting on the spread here at the station pub. Really appreciate it. You appreciate you letting us troop a whole bunch of stinking mushers and people and helpers and snow and mud and whatever in through your building and your premises throughout the whole thing. Yeah, thanks very much for coming out, guys, and couldn't have done it without any single one of you guys. Thanks a lot.